famous beaches here in Adelaide. But you know what? All the action is in Sydney. This is the venue for the second semi-final between India and England, but that action is still about more than 24 hours away. What is going to start right now is semi-final number 1 at the T20 World Cup. That's featuring Pakistan versus New Zealand. Two teams that had reached this stage of the competition last time around. New Zealand did one better, going past the semi-final, reaching the finals. They faltered at the last hurdle. Pakistan, on the other hand, did very well at the group stage last time around, reached the semi-final, but this is where they were out. This time around, they've come with contrasting results. New Zealand have dominated group stage. They dominated group stage and have topped their group, and that's how they've reached the semi-final. Pakistan, on the other hand, were all but out and then were handed a lifeline by that upset. That Netherlands beating South Africa gave them that glimmer of hope. They had to then beat Bangladesh and qualify for the semi-final. They've done that. But you know, every Pakistani team, when it comes from right at the bottom, nothing is expected out of them. That's when they become dangerous. Will the men in green be dangerous for a far more calming and solid side in New Zealand? That's what we'd be discussing in the next half an hour. Sunny Gavaskar will also be joining me. Of course, we'll also bring in the ground reports from Adelaide Oval, where the Indian team and the English team were practicing. We heard from both those captains. That's coming up a little later. But first, let's start from semi-final number 1. Pakistan versus New Zealand. What are the odds? How are the two teams stacked? Let's take a closer look.
One team on the resurgence, the other a lion in ICC events.
One bounce short of lock.
The Mercurials versus the underachievers. It's Pakistan versus New Zealand in the first semi-final.
23.
For the Black Caps, it has been a relatively easy passage into the semis after they set the tone early with a comprehensive win over defending champions and hosts Australia. But the same cannot be said for Pakistan. They were on the brink of elimination after losses to India and Zimbabwe. However, they miraculously turned things around with some help, of course, from the Netherlands. In terms of numbers, Pakistan hold the edge against the Kiwis. Babar Azam's side leads 17-11 in head-to-head encounters. For Pakistan, the difference has been their middle order. Shadab Khan and Iftikhar Ahmed have been the key in that middle order. The main area of concern for Pakistan would be their captain Babar Azam. He averages just 7.8 in this tournament so far.
You know, it's always nice to have two players, you know, that have felt the pressure, and we all feel the pressure at any given times in our career. No different for the number 1 combination, no different to the number 4 ranked T20 player in Babar. And don't be surprised whatsoever if you don't see some fireworks, because very special players don't often stay down for long.
For New Zealand, they have most bases covered. The batting has been good, with Finn Allen and Glenn Phillips contributing. Skipper Kane Williamson, who struggled at the start of the tournament, also struck form against Ireland in Adelaide.
Nicely timed, straight down the ground.
The bowling has been disciplined. Trent Bolt and Tim Southee have been phenomenal. Ish Sodhi and Mitchell Santner have been the key in the middle overs. Despite playing twice at the SCG, Williamson believes the semi-final will be very different.
On the onside, into the gap.
Yeah, I suppose it was kind of interesting. The first game we played here, the wicket was a very good one, and then the second time we played here, it had changed, and sometimes you can take, you know, perhaps what you were expecting the wicket to be like in the first game, and think it would behave in the same way, which it didn't. So whether that's a disadvantage or an advantage, it's sort of hard to know. Both teams have played here, so yeah, it'll be looking to focus on our cricket really, and the plans that we want to look to execute, and make sure we do adjust to the conditions and try and play smartly.
In the last few years, there have been quite a few occasions when New Zealand have been on such a stage. They played the 2015 ODI World Cup final, again finishing runners-up to England in 2019, and then another similar result, this time losing to Australia last year in the T20 World Cup final. In Sydney, it's the semi-final, but the Kiwis this time will encounter an unpredictable Pakistan team, which is on a surge. Sports Bureau, India Today.
Okay, we're coming to you live from Adelaide, but news just coming in from Sydney. New Zealand have won the toss, and no surprises there. What they've decided to do, they've decided to bat first, and that's primarily because of what we've seen in this tournament. Most games that have been played in Sydney, 6 of all that have been played in Sydney, we've seen sides that have batted first have won. 5 out of those 6 games have been won by sides batting first. The only time that you had a side chasing and winning the game, that was the England-Sri Lanka game, and England also struggled to chase down that total. So clearly batting first seems to be the way to go in Sydney, and on that front New Zealand have won the toss and have decided to bat first. That's the latest that we're getting to you from Sydney. As far as the playing 11 is concerned, no changes for the New Zealand team. This is their 11: Finn Allen, Devon Conway, Kane Williamson, Glenn Phillips, Daryl Mitchell, Jimmy Neesham, Mitchell Santner, Tim Southee, Ish Sodhi, Lockie Ferguson and Trent Bolt. So New Zealand have picked an unchanged side, and they have won the toss and decided to bat first. That's the big news coming in from Sydney. I have with me the man who's just taken a flight from Sydney and is here in Adelaide. Much cooler weather now than it was during the day. But Sunny bhai, the first bit of news coming in from Sydney: New Zealand have won the toss, decided to bat first. That's not surprising. I was taking a look at the 6 games that have been played in Sydney in this tournament. 5 have been won by batting first. The only time a team that was chasing one was England versus Sri Lanka. That too went down right down to the wire. So batting first clearly seems to be the way to go in Sydney.
And in a knockout game, you put scoreboard pressure. In a knockout game, in a league game, you always know that there's another game after this. But in a knockout game, the scoreboard pressure can be telling on the team that is chasing. They need to get off to a good start. If the team that is chasing gets off to a good start, it makes it easy for them. So this is a very smart move by the New Zealand captain. Obviously, they must have seen the record, as you mentioned. 5 of the matches have been won with the teams who have batted first and put some runs on the board. So I think that's a very clever move from New Zealand. Having said that, Pakistan has got the new ball attack to make the early inroads. They make the early inroads, then New Zealand can be restricted to about 140, and if that happens, then Pakistan should win. Over 150, it'll be a challenge for any team, not just Pakistan. In a knockout game, over 150 is going to be a challenge for any team.
We often talk about how it's the subcontinental teams that tend to do well because, when you've got the spinners going, and Sydney, where it tends to help the spinners, you mostly will pick subcontinental team. This time around, though, it's the New Zealand spinners that have set the stage on fire. Both Mitchell Santner and Ish Sodhi have been on fire. So they've also got the personnel for the conditions that they're playing in.
They certainly have, and both of them will enjoy bowling on Sydney, because Sydney traditionally is a good pitch to bat on against the medium pacers, because the ball comes onto the bat quite nicely. But because it also allows a little more bounce, you will find that the leg spinner in particular, Ish Sodhi for example, is getting a lot of batsmen caught behind, a lot of batsmen whose cut shots are going up in the air, caught at back foot point or thereabouts. So I think yes, they've bowled well, and if they keep bowling well, then obviously it's not going to be easy for any opposition.
Pragyan Ojha also joins us live. Pragyan, to you, I don't know how you looked at this contest, but anyone you spoke to probably said it's a 50-50 contest. Yes, New Zealand are looking good. Pakistan can be dangerous. But now that Pakistan have lost the toss, New Zealand have won the toss, they're batting first in the record, so overwhelmingly in favour of teams batting first in Sydney. How do you see this? Do you see now New Zealand having a clear edge even before the first ball is bowled?
See, when you talk about the advantage, yes, little bit of advantage is there when you talk about semi-finals, when you talk about knockout. You want that additional pressure of looking at the scoreboard and playing. You want to remove that as a team. But what I hear is this is a used wicket. And maybe if you see, both the teams have good spinners and good bowling attack. So it totally depends on how well these teams bat. And when you talk about New Zealand, they look little sorted. When you talk about their batting lineup, but Pakistan, they have to really up their game plan and up their skills, because that is where the concern has always been. So if they address it well, it will be good. But for me, it is New Zealand because they clearly have that momentum. It'll be very surprising to see if New Zealand does any mistake because they know how to handle the pressure well in these kind of matches. I'm talking about the knockouts.
Okay, Pragyan thinks that New Zealand hold the clear edge at the moment because they've got the momentum going, and of course they top their group too. Same question to you, Harbhajan. Who do you think has the edge between New Zealand, Pakistan in this encounter?
I think overall, New Zealand looked a very, very good team in Australian conditions. I think they have played far better cricket than most of the teams. And that's the reason they were the first team to, qualify for the semis. And, they have showed the consistency and their mettle, why they are so good. And they play like one team. They don't play as individuals. So I think, edge will be slightly, on the New Zealand side. I think if they'll play 70% of cricket we have known or we have seen them playing, I think they'll probably come out champions today.
Okay, so anyway, Harbhajan makes an interesting point saying that New Zealand, the sum of their parts is always greater. They come together, play like a team. Pakistan, on the other hand, sometimes play like individuals, but then they have one of those individuals that will go and win them the game. Quite often we've spoken about that 1992 team that had some of the players that you had played against in the Pakistan team, down and out, from there fought on, win the tournament, and that's an example that's taken every time Pakistan has got their backs against the wall. But do you think this Pakistan team is quite like that Pakistan team, or do they have it in them, or the personnel to fight back like that?
They have the bowling. They definitely have the bowling attack. That Pakistan team also had an all-round batting time strength as well. This Pakistan batting depends so much on the openers, Rizwan as well as Babar. Yes, Iftikhar has got runs, and that Shan Masood can score some runs. You've got Shadab who's got the runs. So there have been individual performances, but in that team, you had the Miandads, you had the Mudassar Nazars. They had a very, very good team. Ramiz Raja was there,
Imran Khan,
and Imran himself batting up the order. So that was a very well balanced team. That was a team that just needed a bit of luck, and they got that luck when they were dismissed for 70 or 80, and then the rains came down, and so that match England couldn't begin their chase, and so they shared points, and from there it was Pakistan all the way. So clearly Pakistan has got that break with the Adelaide match between South Africa and Netherlands going Netherlands' way, and again in Adelaide. So they will look at these, omen. Look at these things as omens for a better performance. But clearly, unless their opening batsmen get going, they struggle a bit to chase scores.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you about the opening batsmen, and that'll be a very interesting discussion. Before that, I'm going across to Pragyan Oja. We wanted to talk about the spinners, and Sunnybai and me were talking, Pragyan, before you joined in, about how the New Zealand spinners have been very good this time around, both Mitchell Santner and Ish Sodhi. There was another school of thought that suggested that, listen, there is a guy that they've got in their ranks, Michael Bracewell. He hasn't bowled or played even a single game in this tournament, but we know how good he was in that tri-series just before leading to this World Cup. That tri-series that featured Pakistan, and he was that one guy who troubled those Pakistani openers, and we've seen the record of Pakistani openers not great against off-spinners. Are you surprised that New Zealand haven't picked him, or do you think why fix something that's not broken?
Absolutely, you're spot on. The last statement that you made makes a lot of sense because New Zealand, when you look at their side, they look very, very stable. They have very good clarity. They're very strong on their ethics. They know this is the team which has got them so far. Why change when it is not needed? And New Zealand is a team, they very rarely do matchups. They go with their main bowlers, main batters, and those people who have been delivering. We have seen this new word coming up in the world of cricket where you talk about matchups. Players like, Mitchell Starc was not given a chance because the coach, I heard him saying from Australia that they were looking for a particular matchup. So this team, New Zealand, never believes in that. They go with their full side, with the same side that they have been backing for so many years. So that shows why they have been so consistent in ICC tournaments. And absolutely, when you talk about someone missing out, it is disheartening. But these two guys, Santner and Sodhi, they have delivered. And this is a used wicket when
Okay, I think we've got some sort of an issue with Pragyan's connection. We'll try and establish that. Meanwhile, Sunny Gavaskar still with us. So now go back to that Pakistani openers. Just before we came to this World Cup, we were there at the Asia Cup and all the talk was around Pakistani openers. We knew that, listen, once they get going, they're going to win games. There is no middle order. This time in this T20 World Cup, it's been a big difference. The openers haven't really fired. Do you think they were saving their runs for the semi-finals, or in general, these conditions haven't suited them?
I think the conditions haven't suited them. There's been the extra bounce. You can see that even with some of the Indian opening batsmen, I think they've been looking to play and they've played onto the stumps. So I think it's the extra bounce, not so much the pace, but the extra bounce, which has defeated the opening batsman just about in every team. And the thing is that this game again, New Zealand's got a tremendous new ball attack. They've got Trent Bolt, Tim Southee, very, very experienced bowlers. There's Lockie Ferguson who can crank it up to about 150 kilometers per hour or plus. So they've got a good new ball attack. And then they've got these two spinners. So they'll have to decide when who to attack against. Normally, you know, as a team, when you sit down, you say, look, this guy looks like the weak link in the team, in their bowling attack. So let's go after him. And his 4 overs, we should be looking to score at least 40 runs. If that's the way you look at it. But in New Zealand's bowling case, you don't really have anybody who you can target and say, 40 runs in an over.
The only thing I was going to ask about New Zealand's fast bowling, one, again, I know that not a lot of people are big on matches, but I was looking at a bit of data, and one thing that's really troubled Pakistani batsmen has been that shorter good length deliveries. As you spoke about, that extra bounce has really troubled Pakistani batsmen out of most in this entire tournament. And with both Southee and Bolt, not really the ones that extract bounce, they rely more on sieve and swing movements. Maybe Lockie Ferguson is that guy. Do you think that lessens the trouble of the Pakistani batsmen, considering these are two more swing seam bowlers?
No, I think the swing always troubles the batsman more than anything else, because you're anticipating the ball to come straight, but if the ball moves in the air or moves a little bit away, you've got to make those late adjustments, or you've got to be in such good form that you can play through the line and still make the connection. Okay. So the fact is that both these openers are not in form. Both these openers are top players. We've seen them in the past. They're classy players, and it matters. Like we've seen, it just takes one innings for batsmen to come back into form. One good innings. So the whole of Pakistan will be hoping that this is the game where they come back to form, so that they can then take their team to the finals. But we'll just have to wait and see. Like I said, if New Zealand score 150 plus, it's not going to be easy for any team. Even if India was chasing, it wouldn't be easy for India to chase 150 plus.
Is that the brighter side that Pragyan, that Pakistan can look at? We spoke about their openers really not firing, but for a change, their middle order has come good. You've seen different players on different occasions come good, get that total that they've required, or help them chase down totals. So is that something now that they'll take that confidence, that middle order, that fine, we'll be chasing today, but now we've got a middle order that can even, challenge a team or achieve the target that is set to them?
Yep, that is what they have to do it, because this is a semi-final. They know what their journey has been so far. But the best part about Pakistan now, when you follow them and when you understand them, is the captain is trying to keep everybody together. He knows there are a lot of noise that is happening outside their team. But the best part was it looked like they're coming closer. They're trying to be together. They're trying to help each other. So I think these are the matches where you need a team. You don't need individuals, as we were discussing earlier. So I think these guys are really focused. They know that everything is against them. Like people have been talking about them. They know they're apart from their openers, the middle order has not delivered. Then their seamers also had on and off days. So this is a game where then they will be looking forward to prove that they are a better side than what they have been projected. So I think these are the things which really motivate you. And when you listen to Babar Azam, when he's talking to his team, he's addressing everybody, he looks like he's trying to get everybody together. And remember, especially in knockout games, semi-finals and finals, these are the things which matter the most, because you cannot change your skill overnight. That will be there. That is what you have been doing, and that will always be with you the same way, the way it has been always. But you will up yourself. That only happens when you get the backing of your team and management. And that is what the best Babar Azam and his think tank have done so far.
Okay, Pragyan, stay on with us. Of course, we are building up to that first semi-final, Pakistan taking on New Zealand, but we are coming to you live from Adelaide. And why are we in Adelaide? Because the second semi-final that will feature the Indian team and the English Lions will take place right here. And we saw both teams practicing at the Adelaide Oval on the eve of that game. We heard from both those captains what really happened in the India practice sessions, what could be India's likely playing 11. All those questions are answered in that ground report. Have a look. Matchday -1 and the Indian team was out in full strength at the Adelaide Oval, practicing ahead of that crucial semi-final versus England. So here's the report of what really transpired on the practice session. Virat Kohli was hard at work, spent a maximum amount of time batting, batted against different type of bowling, firstly against throwdowns, then against some fast bowlers, and then against spinners too. So he put in the hard yards. He had skipped the optional practice yesterday. As far as skipper Rohit Sharma is concerned, he did come for practice, but he did not bat in the nets. But remember, he and Hardik Pandya were out yesterday batting, so today they chose not to bat, and Hardik wasn't even there at the practice session. The one batsman who everyone was looking very closely was Rishabh Pant. There is still a debate between Pant and Dinesh Karthik, and it does seem like that Rishabh Pant may have still nicked it, and he may play that game versus England because of the fact that he's a left-hander, and against a spinner like Adil Rashid, they would need someone like a Rishabh Pant to attack. The one bowler that looked the most menacing in the net practice was Harshal Patel. He was bowling mighty quick in the nets, hasn't played a game for India so far in the tournament. Whether he'll come into the 11, that seems unlikely still at the moment, but looked very dangerous. In fact, even hit Virat Kohli while he was batting, and Virat Kohli went down on his haunches for a brief while, but then got up, nothing to worry about, and then went on to bat. The other debate is about the spinners. Will two spinners play? Only one spinner? If there are two spinners, who are going to be those two spinners? Well, let me tell you, all the spinners were out bowling today. Akshar Patel was bowling, Ravichandran Ashwin was bowling, and so was Yuzi Chahal, bowling a lot in the nets. In fact, Deepak Hooda was also spotted bowling a lot and spent a lot of time batting. Whether he comes in like they did in the game versus South Africa, we'll have to wait and watch. But Yuzi Chahal coming in, many said that against England you might need to go with a leg spinner, but seems unlikely that the Indian team is going to make too many changes. But the star of the show so far has been Surya Kumar Yadav, and during the press conference, a journalist asked the Indian captain Rohit Sharma that what is the secret of his fearlessness? How is it that Surya Kumar Yadav can attack from the word go? And this is what Rohit Sharma said, which had the entire press room burst into laughter.
I mean, that's probably his nature. That's where it comes from. I think he's a very he's a sort of guy who just doesn't carry any baggages with him. Not his suitcases. I mean, he's got a lot of suitcases, honestly speaking. He loves his shopping. But when it comes to carrying that extra pressure, extra baggages, I don't think, he has that in him. And you can see that when he plays. And it's not like he's played a couple of tournaments like that. He's been playing like that for a year now.
So Surya Kumar not practicing a day ahead of the game has become a norm, but maybe that's a trick that has really worked for him. So why change something that isn't broken? As far as the weather here in Adelaide is concerned, still hot, not as hot as day before, still hot. There was some rain clouds and a minor drizzle while the team was practicing. It's expected to about a 40% chance of rain later today, but nothing to worry about on game day. It's expected to be very clear. So India on that front once again will be lucky, where you might get to see a full quota of 40 overs played. With Himanshu Sharma, Nikhil Naz at the Adelaide Oval for India. Okay, talking about the weather, it's playing hide and seek. The sun here, it is out right now, so we're standing against the light. But just before this, there were a bit of drizzle as well. And the other thing that you experience when you are in Adelaide are the Australian flies, which are really tough to swat away. They just don't go away. Not like that get scared when you try and swat them away. Okay, Sunny Gavaskar still with us. Sunny, any changes you're expecting in the Indian team?
Maybe Harshal Patel. Maybe Patel replacing a Patel. That's the thing, because England's got 2 or 3 very dangerous left-handers like Moeen Ali, Sam Curran. So maybe Ashwin will still manage to keep his place, and they might bring in Harshal Patel, because then go in with the old template of 4 seam bowlers plus Hardik Pandya 5 and Ashwin as a spinner. So that could be the change. On the other hand, there could be no change. They could stick around to the same side that played in the in the game against Zimbabwe, because that was such a convincing win. That could be the thing. You don't want too many changes. That will be the only. I foresee just one change at best.
Okay. Pragyan, same question to you. Do you see any changes to the Indian 11?
I would definitely like to see someone like UC Chahal, because he's the one who can really turn things around in the middle overs, and especially against when you talk about the English batsmen, they're little vulnerable against spinners, and a quality bowler like Chahal bowling at them in the middle overs can redefine those last overs also. So that is something which would make lot of sense.
Okay, let's go across to Harbhajan Singh as well. Harbhajan, you reckon, I know we're building up to that Pakistan-New Zealand game. Do you think the Indian team will have an eye on what happens here, assuming if Pakistan were to win and they qualify? Does that put extra pressure on the Indian team because that'll be a hyped game? How do you see it?
I don't think the team thinks like that. Obviously, Team India will be focused on their own game against England, how to win that game, what all they need to do to get the right result in that game. And of course, and after that, if Pakistan, they're in the final, they'll think about then, who are they playing against. But I don't think Team India will be, preparing for the Pakistan while playing with England. It is important to stay in the present. And the present scenario is India need to beat England to get into the final, and of course that's what they will be focusing on. I don't see any added pressure playing Pakistan in the final. That'll be a great game to play if at all India-Pakistan final is happening.
Okay, Harbhajan Singh, Pragyan Ojha, thanks so much for joining us. Also, Sunny Gavaskar, at the presser, Joss Butler was asked that, everyone is hoping for an India-Pakistan final. Do you want to spoil their party? He said, of course, I don't want an India-Pakistan final. I want to be the team that plays the final. And that's understandable, right?
Absolutely. Totally understandable. I remember a couple of times England have spoiled India's party way back in 1987 in the semi-finals in Mumbai. They beat us. And it was expected that it would, since the World Cup was being played away from England for the first time, and in India, Pakistan were the co-hosts, everybody was expecting, Pakistan was also in the semi-finals.
Right.
In the end, what happened? Pakistan lost to Australia and India lost to...
Yeah.
So now it's not Australia in the semi-finals, it's New Zealand, which is their, southern neighbours. Right. And England is England still, so it's understandable.
Okay, on that note, Sunny Gavaskar, thanks so much for joining us. Pragyan Ojha, Harbhajan Singh, as always, pleasure to have you join us on the live program. We are coming to you live from Adelaide for the moment. We're signing off and see you tomorrow for more updates and analysis and ground reports. Don't forget to tune in to India Today, because that is your one-stop destination for all things cricket.
The wait is over for the Business Today MTRA Best B Schools survey. More than 300 of India's best B schools compete for top honours in the most definitive guides to B schools in India. Which are the top 5 B schools? Will there be a new number 1? Who has the best placement record, the best facilities, the best technology? All this and much more in the Business Today Best B Schools survey.
The largest producer of mustard in the world is facing a heat wave. We're talking about Canada. The delicious Dijon mustard is France's favorite condiment. A heat wave across the ocean in Canada has caused a drastic shortage. The shortage is evident in France. Canada supplies 80% of the mustard seeds to France. Because of the drought, the Canadian harvest became half in 2021. This has propelled France to grow their own crop. Remember, Europe is battling a fuel crisis and a power crisis post the Russia-Ukraine war. Mustard seeds have become more attractive after a drop in the prices of grains and oil seeds. Jérôme Garbet, a mustard expert, said that 15,000 tons of mustard seeds should be produced, meeting 40% of the requirement. Luc Vandermeysen, president of the Burgundy Mustard Association, said that store shelves should be replenished in October. He also said the shortage will be completely over in early 2023. We're very confident for Christmas. Being an agrarian economy, India produces its own mustard. Rajasthan is the largest mustard producing state in the country, therefore it's never going to be a problem for India.
All right, some breaking news coming in from Maharashtra. Patra Chaul scam accused. Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut has now been granted bail after spending 100 days in prison. Sanjay Raut now walks free. Sena leader Sanjay Raut, who was in prison for close to 100 days, has now been released on bail. Raut's close aide Praveen Rawat also granted bail. This is big news coming in from Maharashtra. Sanjay Raut has been in prison for nearly 3 months. Sanjay Raut finally given bail, and his close aide Praveen Rawat also now released on bail. Let me cut across to Pankaj Upadhyay joining us for more. Pankaj, Sanjay Raut, known as the firebrand Sena politician who was the backbone for Uddhav Thackeray, etc., was taken into custody on allegations of cheating and corruption in the Patra Chaul case. Now, we believe he's received bail after 3 months in prison. Tell us a little more. All right, I'm going to try and connect Pankaj. We've lost his line. But here is Sanjay Raut, the senior leader of the Shiv Sena's Uddhav Thackeray faction and one of the close aides of Uddhav Thackeray, has been granted bail by a special court in the money laundering case, the Patra Chaul case. In fact, Sanjay Raut, who is a close aide of Uddhav Thackeray, known as a firebrand politician, has always been quite a vocal critic of the BJP and has been accused of money laundering and cheating in the Patra Chaul land case. In fact, Sanjay Raut, after spending over 100 days in prison, has finally received bail.
क्षेत्र में मुझे भ्रमण करने का, यहां को समझना, यहां की समस्याओं को समझना, यहां की शक्ति को समझना, अनेक परिवारों के साथ उठना बैठना, यानी ये मेरे जीवन का एक क्रम था। ये मेरा सौभाग्य रहा गुजरात के मुख्यमंत्री के रूप में भी यहीं पर इसी चौगान में मुझे आपके आशीर्वाद प्राप्त करने का अवसर मिला था। अभी प्रधान सेवक के रूप में फिर एक बार आपसे आशीर्वाद लेने आया हूं। हमीरपुर की यादें अनगिनत यादें हैं, लेकिन अणु में जो पंडितादी हट्टी है, वहां की बेसन की बर्फी उसकी मिठास कौन भूल सकता है भाई। मुझे इतने साल हिमाचल में आप लोगों के बीच बहुत कुछ सीखने का मिला है। अनेक लोगों के साथ जमीन पे काम करने का मौका मिला और आज जब मैं यहां आया हूं तो भाई प्रवीण शर्मा की याद आना बहुत स्वाभाविक है। अनेक वर्षों तक प्रवीण के साथ काम किया और उन्होंने तो हमीरपुर के विकास के लिए भी कितना काम किया था। अब से कुछ महीने पहले ही वो हम सबको छोड़ के चले गए। मैं आज हमीरपुर आया हूं तो उन्हें भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि भी अर्पित करता हूं। भाइयों और बहनों, जितना मैं हिमाचल को जानता हूं, यहां के लोगों को जानता हूं, ये कह सकता हूं कि इस बार हिमाचल के लोग खुद ही ये चुनाव लड़ रहे हैं, खुद ही चुनाव का नेतृत्व कर रहे हैं और दोबारा जयराम जी की सरकार बनाने का यहां हिमाचल की जनता ने फैसला कर लिया है। भाइयों बहनों, हिमाचल में ऐसा नहीं हुआ, लेकिन हम ये भी जानते हैं कि हिमाचल के खून में ही नया इतिहास बनाना है। इसलिए हिमाचल में इस बार भाजपा की सरकार की वापसी भी तय है और डबल इंजन की सरकार का तेज गति से दौड़ना भी तय है। साथियों, आपने इतने वर्षों के शासन में कांग्रेस ने जिस तरह हिमाचल के साथ विश्वासघात किया है, जो छल किया है, उसके सबसे बड़े भुक्तभोगी हिमाचल के ही लोग हैं। कांग्रेस ने हिमाचल को हर बुनियादी चीज के लिए तरसा दिया था। वहीं भाजपा है जिसने हिमाचल के हर घर को बुनियादी सुविधाओं से जोड़ने के लिए दिन रात ईमानदारी से प्रयास किया है। इस वजह से आज हिमाचल के लोग, पूरे देश के लोग भाजपा पर इतना विश्वास करते हैं। भाजपा पर देश का ये भरोसा लगातार मजबूत होता जा रहा है। अभी 2-3 दिन पहले ही देश के कुछ राज्यों में उपचुनाव के परिणाम आए हैं। आपने देखा होगा कि जहां कभी भाजपा को बहुत कमजोर माना जाता था, वहां भी लोगों ने कमल का फूल बढ़ चढ़ करके खिला दिया है। लेकिन कांग्रेस जहां बहुत ताकतवर होती थी, सरकार में होती थी या तो कभी मुख्य विपक्षी दल होती थी, वहां की कांग्रेस की स्थिति दिनों दिन बिगड़ती ही जा रही है। जो क्षेत्र कभी कांग्रेस का गढ़ माने जाते थे, वहां से कांग्रेस का पूरी तरह से सफाया हो गया है। ओडिशा जितना बड़ा राज्य, कांग्रेस गायब। तेलंगाना, कांग्रेस साफ। यूपी, बिहार ने तो बहुत पहले ही कांग्रेस को विदा कर दी है। इसकी वजह है कांग्रेस द्वारा खुद को ईश्वर रूपी जनता जनार्दन से भी वो अपने आप को बड़े शहंशाह मानते हैं, बड़े मानते हैं। उसी का ये नतीजा है कि जनता लगातार उनको सजा दे रही है। और आज हिमाचल के लोग भी कांग्रेस को भली भांति समझ चुके हैं, जान चुके हैं। कांग्रेस को लगता है कि हिमाचल हमेशा 5 साल उसके, 5 साल मेरे वाले फॉर्मूले पर ही चलेगा। 5 साल मैं मौज करूं, 5 साल तुम करो, फिर मैं 5 साल के बाद आ जाऊंगा। यही फॉर्मूला लेकर के चले। और इसलिए कांग्रेस के नेता हिमाचल के लोगों की कोई परवाह नहीं करते। कांग्रेस के लोगों को लगता है कि कोई काम नहीं करेंगे तो भी 5 साल के बाद तो लोग लाने ही वाले हैं, वापस आ ही जाएंगे। आप मुझे बताइए साथियों, कांग्रेस यहां पिछले 5 साल से विपक्ष की भूमिका में है, लेकिन इस दौरान दिल्ली से कांग्रेस के ऑल इंडिया लीडर लोकसभा चुनाव के प्रचार को छोड़ करके क्या कभी आपका हाल पूछने के लिए आए थे क्या? कभी आए थे क्या? कभी आपका हाल जानने के लिए आए थे? कभी कोई मुसीबत आई तो वो आपके पास आए थे? भाइयों बहनों, जरा 5 साल का हिसाब निकालिए। लोकसभा में